Hello everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast synopsis. This audio podcast synopsis is part of the assay and siege and logistics. This audio podcast is part of the LabZtorm and the Jump Off V2. This audio podcast synopsis is part of the Shipmo Squad. This audio podcast synopsis is part of a Storm Logistics production. In this audio podcast synopsis, a little bit in around what this jump off V2 audio podcast series will include. So in following and in line to the LabStorm jump off audio podcast series, where there were some responses to some questions, some important questions aligned to some research works, sort of continuing on this audio podcast series. This audio podcast series will look at responses, or will be responses to questions such as what are the weakest parts of your research? To what extent does your research generalize? And then who would be the most who would be intrigued or who would be intrigued in your work, and what is the relevance to your work to practitioners? What are the contributions to knowledge? And how long term are these contributions? And what advice would you give a research student, or give research students? And what have you learned? And then in a response into what is the main impact of your work, of your research, or your work as a whole. Now, at the same time, the responses are part of works that align to what is referred to as the POCE concept, point of care education concept. And the audio podcast, this audio podcast series is aligned to works on behalf of the RPSG social media platform, the RPSG, the Renal Patient Support Group social media platform, and in on social media as part of the LabStorm jump off, and the LabStorm and this audio podcast series, the LabStorm jump off V2. There will be some citations, or will be some citations or references that listeners and viewers can check in on to identify to identify literature in around these works, in around the works that are aligned to this aligned to the port aligned to the POCE concept. So that draws this audio podcast synopsis to a close. This audio podcast synopsis as part of the Assay and Siege. This audio podcast as part of the LabStorm jump off and V2. This audio podcast synopsis as part of the Shipmo Squad. This audio podcast synopsis as part of a Storm Logistics production.